Okay, let's unpack this. I want you to picture yourself sitting in your computer, or maybe you're on your phone, waiting for a coffee.
Hmm.
You have a problem. You need a service. Maybe your sink's leaking. Maybe you need a lawyer. Maybe, I don't know, a marketing agency for your business. You type your question into the search bar. What happens next?
Well, I mean, if we were having this conversation 10 years ago, you got a list of 10 glue links.
Right.
You clicked the first one, crossed your fingers, and just hoped the website wasn't a total scam.
Right. But today, in 2026, it is a completely different animal. You type that same question in, and before you even think about clicking a blue link, what happens?
An AI summary might pop up.
Instantly answering your question.
Hmm.
Or you might get a map pack with prices and booking times right there on the screen. The landscape hasn't just shifted, it's practically unrecognizable.
It really is. And that shift is exactly what we're digging into today. Because if you're a business owner, or honestly anyone trying to get seen online, the old playbook is completely dead. You know the one I mean?
Yeah.
Stuffing keywords into the white space of your footer and just praying for rank number one.
The keyword stuffing era. I remember it well.
Gone. It's not just about ranking anymore. It's about winning visibility. And there's a massive distinction there.
Okay.
It's about showing up across a dozen different surfaces, maps, AI overviews, snippets, not just that one top slot.
And that phrase you just used, winning visibility, that comes directly from the source material we're looking at today. It's a guide called The Business Owner's Guide to Winning Visibility in Search in 2026.
Right. It's from the team over at Get the Clicks, specifically written by Neil Beliveau.
And Neil is, I think, an interesting person to learn from here. He's not some new AI guru who just popped up on Twitter last week. The guy's a veteran,
Over 20 years in the trenches.
which matters. It really does. He's seen the internet go from like the Wild West to this super sophisticated AI-driven ecosystem we're living in now. What I really appreciated about this guide and why I want us to do a deep dive on it is that it doesn't read like a sales pitch. It feels like a sanity check.
I agree.
It's basically a checklist for a business owner to look at their own strategy or their agency strategy and just ask, are we actually doing the work that matters?
Exactly. And our mission today is to unpack the 10 specific strategies Neil outlines. We want to move you from, guessing how Google works to actually growing because you understand what the system rewards.
So let's jump right in, the foundation. The first big concept the guide tackles is something called topical authority. Now, I hear this buzzword constantly, usually followed by a pitch to buy more blog posts.
Right.
But let's break it down. For someone who isn't a marketer, how is this different from just writing a good article?
I think of it this way. If you walk into a library and you ask a random person for medical advice, do you trust them?
Probably not, no. I mean, even if they give me a good answer, I have no idea who they are.
Right. But if you walk into a doctor's office, you trust the advice because the entire environment screams expert.
Mm-hmm.
You see the diplomas, the staff, the equipment. Google is operating the same way now.
Okay.
It doesn't trust a website based on one lucky, one-off blog post that went viral. It wants to see the whole office.
So you can't just have one money page, say a page selling web design, and expect to rank for web design.
You absolutely need that money page. That's your core. But Neil explains that page cannot stand alone. It needs a supporting cast.
The entourage.
The entourage, exactly. You need content that answers all the pre-buying questions a customer has before they are ever ready to pull out their wallet.
The guide gave some really specific examples here that I thought were pretty bold. Things like pricing and what impacts cost, which honestly, most businesses are terrified to put on their website. They think, if I put my price up, I'll scare people away.
Or if I show my price, my competitor will just undercut me by 10%. But that's a massive mistake in 2026.
Why is that?
Because if you don't answer the pricing question, someone else will. And that someone else gets the traffic, and probably the customer, because they were transparent.
So it's things like pricing, timelines, like how long does this all take, or those X versus Y comparisons.
And objection handling. You're basically simulating the conversation a really good salesperson would have, but you're doing it with content on your site.
Okay, but here's where I think people get overwhelmed. They hear content strategy and they think, I don't have time to write 1,000 articles.
Of course.
But the source actually gives a specific number here, right?
Yes, and I love this metric because it's so actionable. Neil suggests creating just 8 to 15 content topics based on real customer questions. Then, and this is the key part, you link every single one of those back to your main service page.
8 to 15. That's actually manageable.
Totally. You can knock that out in a month if you really focused.
And what does that do structurally?
Structurally, it tells Google, we aren't just selling this one service, we are experts on this entire topic. That structure is topical authority.
Okay, so we have the structure. We know we need these 15 or so articles. Now let's talk about the writing itself, because this brings us to what I think is the biggest paradox in modern SEO.
Mm-hmm.
To win with the algorithms,
Yeah.
you have to stop writing for the algorithms.
It sounds totally counterintuitive, right? But that is the golden rule of 2026. The guide really emphasizes writing for humans in an AI world.
But play devil's advocate with me. The AI is reading the site. Why wouldn't we write for the AI?
Because the AI is now trained to replicate human preference. If your content is just generic SEO tips or broad advice, you are going to get buried.
And why is that?
Because an AI summary can generate that generic information in 3 seconds. It has zero value coming from you.
That makes a lot of sense. If the robot can do it, it doesn't need you to do it. So what does helpful actually look like now?
You have to offer what the AI can't: experience. The guide calls for helpful, reliable, people-first content. And that means specific answers, not vague fluff. But even more importantly, it means proof.
Proof like? What are we talking about?
Screenshots. Before and after photos. Clear, step-by-step guides that show you've actually done the thing you're talking about.
There was a concept in the source called the litmus test for agencies. I thought this was brilliant.
Yes. This is so crucial for anyone hiring help. If an agency's promising you high word counts, like, we'll give you 5 2,000-word articles a month, that is a huge red flag.
Because quantity doesn't equal quality.
Not anymore. Because a 2,000-word article written by a freelancer who has never even touched your product is worthless in 2026.
Wow.
But a 500-word article with a photo of you physically fixing the problem, that is gold.
This connects directly to the next big shift, AI overviews. The source mentions these rolled out broadly back in, May 2024?
That's right.
These are the little summaries at the top of Google that just push everything else down the page.
Right. And that changed the game. You can't hack your way into an AI overview. You can't trick the bot into picking you. But you can format your content so it's easy for the AI to read and cite.
So we're making it easy for the robot to do its homework. How do we do that, practically?
It's about being concise where it really counts. The advice here is to answer the main question early in your content, in a short, clear paragraph. Don't bury the lead.
So no more of those recipe blog intros where you have to read about their grandmother's farm for 10 paragraphs before you find out how many eggs to use.
Exactly. We are all tired of that, and so is Google. Get to the point. Then use descriptive headings, your H2s and H3s, that match the actual questions people ask. And, include a short FAQ section.
It's interesting. It's almost like by being clearer for humans, you automatically become clearer for the AI.
That's the beauty of it. It's not about tricking the system. It's just about good structure. If the AI can understand your answer, it's more likely to serve you up as the source.
Okay, let's move to something that feels a bit more intangible but is apparently critical. Trust. We have an acronym for this. EEAT.
Yes, EEAT. Experience, expertise, authority, and trust. This has been around for a while, but the guide led a significant crackdown recently. Google is getting much, much better at spotting fake trust.
Fake trust. That sounds like marketing fluff. What does that actually mean?
It means those stock photos of staff that don't actually exist. You know, the ones models in suits shaking hands in an office that clearly isn't yours?
Right.
It means misleading claims about awards you didn't really win. It's those generic About Us pages that don't actually tell you who runs the company. Google's systems are sniffing this stuff out now.
So how does a real, legitimate business prove they're real? What are the easy wins?
They're surprisingly simple, but so many businesses just miss them. First, a real About page with actual photos of your team, no stock models.
Show the messy desk. Show the team lunch. Real life.
Exactly. Then, clear contact info, phone number, address, service area, and case studies. You don't need hundreds. The guide says just 3 to 5 strong ones can really move the needle.
And author bios you mentioned.
Yes. If there's an article on your site, say who wrote it and why on earth they are qualified to talk about it.
I love the example the guide gave about Neil Beliveau himself. His bio mentions he's a full sail grad with 20 years of experience, sure. But it also says he's a misguided Patriots fan.
I caught that too.
It's such a small detail, but it instantly proves he's a human being, not some content bot.
Even if his football taste is questionable.
Exactly. We won't hold it against him.
But that's the essence of EET right there. Humanizing the brand builds trust. It signals to both the user and Google that there is a real, live person behind the website.
Okay, so we've covered content and trust. Now, for the local businesses listening, the plumbers, the dentists, the local shops, Section 5 is for you. The guide says local SEO is absolutely non-negotiable.
Oh, if you serve a geographic area, this is your lifeblood. And it kind of boils down to a trinity of priorities.
The Father, the Son, and the Holy.
Right.
Google Business Profile.
Something like that. It's your
Yeah.
Google business profile, your reviews, and consistent NAP. Name, address, phone. It sounds so basic, but if your phone number is different on Yelp than it is on your website, Google gets confused. And in the search world, confusion kills your rankings.
And on reviews, it's not just about getting 5 stars, is it? It's also about the volume.
Steady volume and responding to them. You need to reply. It just shows you're active and that you care.
Okay, let's get a little geeky for a second.
Yeah.
Because the guide touches on Section 6, technical hygiene. And there's a specific metric in there that changed back in March 2024, INP.
INP, interaction to next paint.
That sounds absolutely terrifying. Break that down for me.
It's actually pretty relatable. Have you ever tapped a submit button on a form or tried to open a menu on a mobile site and it freezes for like half a second?
Yes, it's infuriating. I usually end up rage tapping it 5 more times because I think it didn't register.
That's poor INP. It's a measure of lag. Google replaced the old responsiveness metric with INP to specifically target that exact frustration. If your site freezes when a user tries to interact with it, you lose.
So you don't need to be a coder to understand this. If your site just feels sluggish or sticky, you've probably got an INP problem.
Exactly. And the guide lists other invisible blockers too, like broken links or accidental noindex tags where you accidentally told Google, don't look at this page.
That sounds like a nightmare. You could accidentally hide your own site.
It happens more often than you'd think, especially during website redesigns. Someone forgets to flip a switch in the code and poof, your traffic drops to 0.
All right, moving on to strategy and shortcuts. The guide talks about structured data. This is like giving Google little labels for things, right?
Think of it as sticky notes for the search engine. You're telling Google, hey, this string of numbers is a phone number, or this whole paragraph is an FAQ. You use code like local business or service schema.
But there's a rule here. You can't just make stuff up.
Right. You can only mock up what is actually visible on the page. You can't hide a bunch of data in the code just to try and trick Google.
Speaking of tricking Google, let's talk red flags. The guide explicitly warns against shortcuts.
The March 2024 spam policy update was a big one. It targeted 2 main things. Scaled content abuse, which is mass-producing thousands of low-quality pages, and parasite SEO.
Parasite SEO. That sounds nasty. What is that?
It's basically digital squatting. It's when you host a page on a high-authority third-party site that has nothing to do with your business just to borrow their credibility.
Like what?
Like publishing a best online casinos article on a reputable newspaper's website. Google is just crushing that now.
And cheap backlinks.
Avoid them like the plague. If someone offers you 500 links for $50, you should run away. Fast.
So what's the safe way to build links? Because you still need them, right?
You do, but you need reputation-driven links.
Yeah.
The guide suggests things like your local chamber of commerce, sponsorships of local sports teams, or digital PR like sharing a helpful guide with local news sites.
That feels much more organic. It's just real-world networking, but digital.
Exactly. It's about building relationships, not just buying stats on a spreadsheet.
One last strategy before we get to the agency stuff. Freshness. The guide says SEO isn't set it and forget it.
This is a huge opportunity because almost nobody does it. Neil suggests a quarterly freshness routine. Every 3 months, look at your top traffic pages, update the pricing, update the timestamps, add a new section based on a question a customer asked you last week.
It's such a simple habit, but I bet most businesses launch a page and then never touch it again for 5 years.
And then they wonder why their rankings are slowly bleeding out. Freshness just tells Google, we are still here and we are still relevant.
So we've covered a ton of ground. We've got topical authority, human-first content, AI formatting, trust signals, technicals. If a business owner is listening and thinking, I cannot do all of this myself, I have a business to run,
Right.
they might be looking for an agency. And finding a good one is hard.
It is.
The guide has a great section on evaluating an agency. What should we see in a monthly report? Because I feel like a lot of people just get a PDF for the chart, a line goes up or down, and they have no idea what it actually means.
A generic traffic chart is not enough anymore. The guide outlines what a report should have. It needs a roadmap. What are we doing next and why? It needs to show technical fixes. It needs to show content work that is tied to revenue, not just random blogging.
And local management.
Yes. And most importantly, reporting on outcomes, calls, forms filled out, booked jobs. If your SEO agency isn't talking about how many leads they got you, they aren't doing their job.
It's about the bottom line. Traffic doesn't pay the bills.
Always.
And that kind of brings us back to the source. If you're listening and you want an agency that actually focuses on these pillars, local visibility, real trust signals, content that actually converts Neil and his team at Get the Clicks, are clearly positioned to help.
Their whole philosophy is stop guessing, start growing. And based on the depth of this guide, they obviously get that the game has changed. It's not about tricks anymore. It's about building a digital asset that deserves to rank.
Deserves to rank. I like that phrasing. It implies merit.
It's the truth. You just can't fake it anymore.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a thought to mull over. We talked about topical authority earlier. I want you to imagine a potential customer reads your last 10 blog posts or your main service pages.
This is the crucial test.
Would they feel like they found an expert who understands their problem inside and out? Or would they feel like they just stumbled into a content farm that was designed to capture a click?
The answer to that question is likely going to determine where you rank in 2026. If you're building for the customer, you're future-proofing your business. If you're building for the algorithm, you're already behind.
A powerful place to leave it. Build for the human, and the robot will follow. Thanks for diving in with us today.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.